Hi, my name is Joanna and I'm with Mountain Lather Soap Company, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about trace, and I want to show you some different pours. This isn't showing you how I pour. This is kind of showing you a bunch of my bars and how different light or thick traces affect the outcome of your designs. So these two bars are the same batch. So they are my black rose bar. So they have rose clay and charcoal. This batch is a little bit older, but you can see how in this bar the colors are thicker. So this batch, when I poured it, had reached a much thicker trace, which is how, the colors are very solid. There's very distinct lines between the pour. Whereas then you go to this bar and you can tell that this had a much lighter trace, and look at the two different sides are completely different. Whereas this one, they're pretty similar. So when you have a lighter trace and you pour the batch, because it's more of a water consistency as opposed to a thick pancake batter consistency, when you pour the different colors in, they're going to mix themselves just by being thinner. So I just wanted to show you these two so you can kind of compare. And so as a soap maker, you're going to use a light or a heavy trace differently depending on what kind of style bar you want. So what I like better for this bar is I actually like this style better. So that just means stirring less. Some essential oils speed up the trace. So clove oil, cinnamon oil, both of those essential oils will speed up the trace. So instead of using my hand mixer to mix those essential oils in, I will use a whisk so that I don't mix it as much, because mixing is what speeds up the trace. So for bars that I want the colors to blend more, I use a light trace. But then as opposed to these kind of pours. So for these pours, I don't want anything to break through. I want to set my bottom color, have it be solid enough or thick enough that I can pour the top layer without it breaking through. So both of these bars, these are different styles. These I pour the bottom and then use a spatula to bring it to the center. And this bar I do a diagonal pour. So I tilt my molds sideways, I prop them with something on the side, pour the bottom layer, let it set up, and then pour the top. So those are just some different styles of pour that I use. The last one that I want to show you is this one. So these are different. So for this bar that I showed you before with the thinner trace, the black rose, I alternate my pour. So I go black, pink, with a light trace so that it swirls. This one is actually a little bit different. Even though it looks similar, what I do for this one is I also use a light trace because I want it to break through. And I pour all the charcoal first. So I fill my molds halfway with charcoal. And then I pour the coffee. This is coffee. You can see the ground coffee if I let it get closer there. I pour the coffee in. I hold it up a little higher, and I pour it in so that it breaks through. So I'm kind of using the force of gravity as I'm dumping it. So if this is the mold, I'm dumping the batter in so that it shoots all the way down to the bottom of that charcoal and then spreads out. And the charcoal will mix itself in as I pour it. So there's a lot of different ways. So if you want more detail on specific bars in different ways, I go through in my individual videos. If you look at the rest of my channel, I'll talk about how I pour, but I just kind of wanted to highlight the difference between light and heavy trace and how it affects the design. And so then, I make these bars. I have certain bars that I make over and over and over again. So I experiment with, okay, I didn't really like the way that came out. Let me try a lighter trace and see if I get the swirl to look the way I want. So that's the fun part of making soap, is that you get to try it again and again and again and learn how the essential oils affect it, how the trace affects it, how the different colors affect it. It all changes how you're doing it. So keep experimenting, have fun. If you liked this video and found it helpful, I hope you subscribe to my channel so you can catch more soap videos.